This is Triggered.
And you will be.
Hello.
Hi, friends. I have been MIA in Discord, and I apologize. I was in Cleveland at a conference, and that was intense, to say the least. A lot of people, a lot of classes, a lot of working.
I have 2 days max of peopling.
Yeah, I was exhausted. I was completely exhausted. But I have a story for you because, you know, we're in Cleveland, and Cleveland has a pretty high crime rate, and there's some sketchy areas of Cleveland that you just don't go. I did not partake in that. I was like, no, at the end of the day, I am chill. So get back to Ottawa. And I remember just breathing a sigh of relief when, like, you get back into your community, your city, and you're like, I'm safe here. I know what's going to happen here. That was not what happened.
No.
I'm going to set the scene. It was very traumatizing. I will be doing some therapy. So I have been quiet because I'm just processing what happened. So we stop at a gas station when we enter Ottawa. A gas station I have went to numerous times. Now, beside the gas station, there is like a gated, I'm going to say parking lot. And it's got the two big thick gates that come down. So during the day they lift, and then at night they go down. So 2 of my coworkers are pumping gas. I'm in the back seat with another coworker, and we're just talking about like, oh my gosh, we made it home. I'm so excited to crawl into bed. It's been such a long weekend. We're exhausted. And we hear this loud bang. Like it sounded like a freight train ran into a building. So we were like, what the hell? So I hop out. I look over, and there is this massive pickup truck that has barreled through the 2 fences. There are sparks everywhere. I'm like, what is going on? Oh my gosh. Initially, I'm like, that person just got in an accident. Then the truck proceeds to do donuts, which is like, what
and
the
you're
fuck
like,
is happening?
Maybe not an accident. Okay.
So this guy is running these massive donuts in this massive lifted white pickup truck. Then he turns the truck towards the pumps. So there's cars. We're all kind of just sitting there like, what is he doing? He turns on his brights and he starts revving his engine. So he like is moving up a little bit, and is revving. And so we're like, he's going to run into the pumps. Oh my God, he's going to hit us. So everyone is screaming. I pull my coworker. I'm like, get the fuck out of the car. He's going to hit us. So, and because if he hits us, we're going to explode. We're at the gas pumps.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we got to get out, pull everyone out, and we start booking it. And at that time, he gets out of the truck, and he is like marked up. He's this pretty big dude, no shirt on, so just jeans. And he like has his hands kind of in the air. And I'm like looking at him. I'm like, what is he doing? He starts sprinting towards us. So we run into the gas station. He's screaming. He's not making sense. We're flipping. We're like, lock the doors, lock the doors. So we lock the doors. He shows up at the glass, and he's like trying to get in. This guy is like, I'm going to fucking kill you. Like, I'm getting in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I right away call my husband. I am crying. I'm like, someone's trying to break into the gas station. We're all locked inside. There's a girl hiding in the bathroom. There are people ducking. Everyone's hiding. And he's tapping on the windows, trying to figure out how to get in. Everyone broke down, and I'm watching him. Now, if you are an OG on our podcast, you know I've dealt with a lot of this in my life. I've had a lot of trauma. This is not my first rodeo of someone trying to kill me and break in. So right away, I don't know what happened. It's kind of a blur, but I locked in, and I was like, okay, how can he get in here? So he had went around. There were these like sliding drive-through window things. He's coming around and then he ducks and everyone's freaking. So I'm like, he's going to try and get in the back. So I sprint to the back of the store. And the worker, he's in shock. This poor fucking man, he is eyes the size of saucers.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is frozen at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is the loading dock? And he comes with me. And just as I get to the door, I grab the door and I'm just going to click it locked. And he fucking slams into the glass and he is trying to get in. Now, the part that is like playing in my mind, and I have goosebumps talking about this, was he's smiling.
Yeah. Yeah.
His eyes are black and he is like not a human. Like this guy was like on drugs, maybe I don't know, but he had one purpose and that was like to hurt. So he's trying to get in and I'm like holding onto the door. At that point it is locked, but I'm just thinking to myself, what if it's not locked and I'm holding it here? Like I am freaking. So in the meantime, I know I'm all over the place. I had called my husband and he was booking it towards us. And I'm now on the phone with the police. We play a lot of like police dispatch calls where we're like, it's so frustrating when you get a bad one. That was not my experience. The dispatcher that took my call, I mean, it was chaos behind me because people are screaming and crying and hiding. And it was very scary. I am on the phone and he is like, I am coming to you. He is not going to get in. We have police 3 minutes away. And he kept me I was like, okay. And I was like, but what if he gets in? He's like, you just hold your own, girl, for 3 minutes. I need 3 minutes. That's not a lot of minutes and I will be there. So then these two men at some point, I guess, saw the commotion of what was happening and pulled in and was like, what the hell? There was like a bit of a scuffle outside. And then this guy got back in his truck and took off. So I'm telling the police, I'm giving a description of the vehicle. And the dispatcher is like, get out of there. Because he could come back. I want you out of there. So I don't even know if we paid for gas. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
A lot of it. I was shaking. I was crying. I was so scared. And we got in the car and we left and we came up maybe 5 minutes up the road and they had him on the ground. There was like 10 cop cars surrounding the truck.
Yeah.
So he is off the road. Thank goodness. That was maybe, I want to say, the most terrifying experience of my life. Unfortunately, that is not the case, but it was up there.
Fortunately, that's not true. Oh, man. I know.
It was bad.
God. Yeah.
And I didn't sleep. Great. That night I got home and my husband showed up and like, I could have crawled inside of his skin. Like I just was so scared.
Yeah.
I shook all night. So I have been having some panic attacks and anxiety, but I have therapy for that. So we're getting there. I'm very jumpy. I don't feel confident going anywhere right now on my own, but that will come.
Yeah. No, and you're doing the right thing. So many times when people experience something like this, they don't think that they need to go to therapy, but it helps so much. Like it helps so much just to have someone, a professional who specializes in trauma, to be able to go through some steps with you and go through. And even if you've done it in the past, each situation is different and you need specialized treatment for what you experienced,
Yeah. So
good for you.
I actually have to shout out my daughter's boyfriend because he messaged me and he was like, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm okay. You don't want to put that on your kids because he's like my kid. And he goes, you're safe now. You're okay. And nothing bad is going to happen. You know what? You got out of there. You're okay.
That's sweet.
Coming from like a 19-year-old kid, I was like, man, you're wiser beyond your years. Like that gave me so much comfort.
Yeah.
Great kiddo. The case I'm bringing to you today is one that was really hard to do for many reasons. One is I've grown up knowing about this case because it comes from Pembroke, Ontario, our hometown. And growing up, I always heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard so many versions of it.
I was just going to say, so for those of you that don't know the area where we grew up, it's a very like the whole town ran on suspicion and gossip. And so you did like this story, you did grow up hearing like what Ashley heard is completely different than what I heard growing up.
Yeah. So I want to put some of the rumors to rest. I want to give
Mm-hmm.
as much information that I could find. Now, let me tell you, there is a key player in this story. I worked for her daughter, so I have heard her account.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, her account is not exactly what I found in legal proceedings papers. So even people close to the case don't have all the correct information. And that was mind-blowing to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Tonight I'm taking you home, taking you to our home.
Take me home.
I'm taking you.
Roads.
Now, this is where we grew up, Pembroke, Ontario. If you've never been there, it's kind of a place where everyone kind of knows each other. You know, you're not going to Walmart without running into someone you know.
I remember when I first got out on my own and I started dating, it was a real thing, guys. Like, you had to make sure you weren't related.
Yeah.
Like, you met a guy and you were like, oh my God, like, we're really vibing. You had to be like, all right, so what's your last name? Who are your parents? And who are their parents? Because it was very likely you were related somewhere along the line.
If you grew up there, it's generational. People don't leave this place for some reason. And I don't really understand why, but people just,
I mean, we
get
did.
in and stay. We left.
Yeah.
But also the town next to Pembroke is one of Canada's biggest military bases. So you do have that transient community in and out. But yeah, like neighbors know each other. And when something terrible happens, the stories don't disappear. They kind of become part of the town.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a story, like I said, I literally heard it over and over and over. And it wasn't in school. It was never in the news. It was from adults. Those quiet conversations the adults are having and you're like, like perking up. You're trying to listen.
Yep.
And like, you would walk into a room and the adults would be talking about it and they would stop. So I never got the full story. I did meet the daughter of one of the accused, but it was just fragments, little pieces. So this story actually is about a daughter, her boyfriend, a little boy, a farmhouse, and people saying she should have gone to prison too.
Ooh, okay.
These stories have always stayed with me, but the names disappeared. The facts started blurring, so people were still sort of taught like, oh, did you ever hear about the crime that happened in Laurentian Valley and this happened and that happened? So a few nights ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this vague childhood memory and I'm going to become an investigator because I need to know. And the deeper I dug, the more I realized that almost everything I thought I knew had essentially changed over 55 years of retelling.
Okay.
The little boy was real. The daughter was real. The boyfriend was real. But people at the center of the story deserve more than whispers, in my opinion. They deserve to have their names remembered. No one remembered their names. I asked people, do you remember the story? Do you remember their name? I got their names. So,
yeah,
the names are Eleanor Witt, David Witt, Leslie Molson, Catherine Margaret Delarge, and Lorne Edward Lafrance.
All right.
This is the story that Pembroke never forgot. I'm going to set the scene. March 1971. long before Laurentian Valley existed under the name we know today. So back in the day, I want you to picture Pembroke in the center. Okay, that's the city. The surrounding area is now known as Laurentian Valley. So it's all little, farming communities, country living. That is Laurentian Valley. So it's like the shell. This used to be known as Alice Township. Gravel roads, long driveways. People had a lot of space and privacy. It's quiet, it's peaceful. The kind of community where most people believed they knew exactly who lived down the road. And that is why this story shocked the entire Ottawa Valley, because at the center of this story was Eleanor Witt. She's a mother living on a rural property with her 6-year-old son, David. Her brother, Leslie Molson, was also closely connected to the family. So if you live in a rural township, you know your family members are in and out. Everyone's visiting.
All the time.
There's a center hub for the whole family. Everyone's popping in, popping out, grabbing fruit out of the fridge. That was kind of this vibe in this household. Then there was 17-year-old Catherine Delarge. She was Eleanor's daughter from a previous marriage. So Eleanor has a 6-year-old little boy, David. And then she has a much older child from a previous relationship who is ready to be an adult. And I don't like to group people into one group, but like most 17-year-olds, she's doing 17-year-old things,
Oh, boy. Oh, the things.
She's trying to figure out that line between childhood, adulthood, and she had recently become involved with a 23-year-old man. And there is, I know that in the grand scheme of things now, later in adulthood, that is not a big gap. But 17 and 23, there is a big difference there in experience.
Maturity.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I know it was the 70s and it was a different time. It really was. There wasn't that, I don't know, stigma that we have now with age gaps.
Yep.
It still makes me go, ew. I still don't like it.
Yeah. So this 23-year-old man, because he was a man, was named Lorne Edward Lafrance. And looking back now, it's impossible to wonder, and I really do wonder this, but how much influence that relationship had over the events that followed.
Ooh, okay.
So, and that's one of the things that has divided people in more than half a century. Some believe Catherine was manipulated. Others believed she was every bit as responsible as Lafrance.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you guys be the judge. And our job here tonight or today or this morning or wherever you are listening to this podcast isn't to decide what version is true. Our job is essentially to follow the evidence, what we know to be fact. We want to put some of these rumors to rest. So buckle up. At first, nothing about the Witt home really suggested that it would become the scene of one of the Ottawa Valley's most disturbing crimes. It wasn't this big mansion behind gates. It wasn't a notorious address. It was literally just a family home. But what I want you to understand in this moment is behind those walls, something had already begun to fester.
Uh-oh.
And we don't actually find out about that until years later during court proceedings. Eleanor would testify that she had endured more than 2 weeks of captivity and abuse before the murders.
Oh.
So that was a big part of the story that a lot of people didn't realize, that this didn't just happen in one day. Something evil was festering in that house. Something really bad was happening. But again, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Well, that's just it.
It's the 70s. You don't have cameras. You don't have routines the same way we do today. So no one is really noticing that, hey, where's Eleanor? No one's seen her in a couple weeks.
No, and the thing about the Valley, and I know it's like this in a lot of small towns, it's very much like, well, that's none of your business.
That's right.
Like if you could, if I had a penny for every time my mother told me it was none of my business, where I'd be like, hey, Susie hasn't been to school in 3 weeks. My mom would be like, keep your mouth shut. That's none of your business.
Huh?
Leave them alone. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Heaven
Alrighty.
forbid. Yeah.
Right? And I want you to keep in your mind as we're telling this story, captivity for more than 2 weeks.
No.
I really had to sit and think about that. Imagine waking up every morning and not knowing what was going to happen to you that day.
No. I
Imagine
would not like
lying
that.
awake at night wondering whether you or your family would survive this.
I don't like waking up in the morning in my cushy life, not knowing what's going to happen at work. So I can't imagine.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And these are not dramatic stories invented. These are facts from the court proceedings. These are going to be the words of the woman who lived through it. And then everything changed. Because when police finally did arrive at the property, they discovered a scene that would haunt investigators for years. 6-year-old David Witt had been killed. So had Eleanor's brother, Leslie Molson. Now, contemporary newspapers' reports described that the killings were axe murders and referred to the bodies as mutilated. Before I continue, I want to tell you what I was told. Growing up, and trigger warning, I heard the horror of this story, that this little boy's genitals had been cut off, that this 6-year-old had been tortured, and that him and his uncle were murdered via axe murders.
Okay.
Eleanor was also attacked, and I think they presumed she was dead as well. But Eleanor was still alive. And all I could think of, you guys, and because we don't have a timeline of, the exact crimes, the torture, what happened, I think just knowing that this little boy and his uncle were completely mutilated, were completely dehumanized in a way that makes you want to be sick. And when you look at this, and of course hindsight is 2020, it makes me wonder, like, were there not signs,
It's so hard
something
to,
had to have led up.
But again, it's a very, and still to this day, Ash, like, I know everyone's up in everyone's shit, but still to this day, it's a very like, leave them alone. That's none of your business. Don't get involved. That is just everyone's business was their own, even down to abuse. Like,
yeah, this is very true. This isn't just, and I'm not diminishing being shot, because any type of murder is horrible, but this was very intimate, gruesome, prolonged torture.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you said something earlier that I was thinking about. For me, when I don't know the details, it's worse in my head.
Yeah. Yes.
And I try to tell myself that when we don't have all the details of like exactly what went down, but it's hard to separate that. Although this, even with the details, sounds absolutely horrible.
It's horrible. So right away, investigators are in there and they are trying to make sense of what they've come up on, because there was no robbery. Nothing about the crime suggested a stranger had wandered onto the property. This was a personal, very, very disturbing act of violence. So someone who did this knew this family. Within days, Ontario Provincial Police focused their investigation on 2 people. 17-year-old Catherine Delarge and 23-year-old Lorne Edward Lafrance. Now, imagine living in Pembroke and the surrounding area. You are like, oh my God, there was a murder out in Alice Township. And all of a sudden there's an arrest. That is going to be shocking just as much as the crime, because these aren't strangers passing through town. These are local people you see every day, people, you've talked to. You recognize them. You know their family.
Yep.
And now these two people are accused of destroying an entire family. But the biggest shock was still yet to come, you guys, because what happened inside that courtroom literally left so many people believing that justice and law are not always the same thing. And I have to tell you, I've met family members of these people, and there is such a divide. You get family members of the teenage daughter who were saying she's a victim too.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the other side of things. They're like, she should have fucking went to prison. And you're going to hear what played out here, because I will have my opinions and I want you to have opinions and I want everyone to share what they think should have happened. I don't know. But what I know is what I know. Okay. I only know what I know. So obviously the murder on this property raised more questions than answers, because nothing about this scene suggested that it was a crime of passion. Do you know what I mean by that? This wasn't
it's hard
just
because anytime there's like axe violence or like a stabbing, it's usually classified as a crime of passion because you have to be so up close and personal with the person. Like you're in their face, you're hearing them breathing. Like you said earlier, Ash, to shoot someone is still horrific, but it's not as personal as if you have to be up in their face with an axe or with a knife.
That's right.
So I always have a hard time when we're told like, well, it wasn't a crime of passion, because I'm like, it's gotta, like, there has to be some kind of anger, some kind of emotion that's driving you to slam an axe into a human being in front of you.
To mutilate.
And there's a child involved.
A child.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, but to me, that's a crime of passion.
Yeah, I think the term crime of passion, though, refers to something quick. There was no forethought. It was just bam, bam, bam. And that is the definition, I guess, of crime of passion, right? It's like a quick, passionate explosion. And that's I would say, what people assume a crime of passion is. If you're in a courtroom and they say it was a crime of passion, it's quick. There's no forethought. There's no afterthought. It just happened. And that's kind of, right? That is what
they meant.
Yeah, that is what people determine a crime of passion. As officers continue interviewing family members, neighbors, and everyone connected to the Witt family household, the same thing kept coming out. 17-year-old Catherine Delarge and her 23-year-old boyfriend, Lorne.
Well, yeah.
And those names were impossible to ignore. But of course, you need to follow evidence. And before police can even present this case in court, they had to answer one fundamental question. And that is what actually happened inside this farmhouse.
Yeah.
And thankfully, that answer did come in a large part from the one person who survived. They didn't expect Eleanor to survive. Eleanor walked out of there. Maybe she wasn't walking.
Not walked.
But she got out of this situation and she was able to speak her truth, because had she not survived, I don't know that justice would have been able to be served.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I can't imagine being asked to recount the worst experience of your life over and over, to relive it, to explain it, to remember the details most people would spend a lifetime trying to forget. But that was sweet Eleanor's reality. According to later court reportings, Eleanor told the court she had been held against her will and subjected to abuse for more than 2 weeks before the killings.
I can't even imagine.
Right? And that was a detail that transformed this investigation, because they're like, hang on. You mean this just wasn't a one-off day? This has been going on. So they're not looking for a sudden explosion of violence. They're looking for an ordeal that unfolded over time, an ordeal that ultimately ended with the deaths of a baby, a 6-year-old little baby, David Witt, and Eleanor's brother, Leslie Molson. Contemporary newspaper coverage described both victims as having been killed with an axe. The same reports referred to their bodies as mutilated. Even by the standards of experienced investigators, the violence they encountered was extraordinary. I think before I move on, I want everyone to pause and just remember a 6-year-old.
I know.
This is
awful.
a kindergartner.
Yeah.
This is
It's
a
awful.
baby. This little baby wasn't caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was in the safety of his home.
It's so crazy to me because, kids are murdered every day. It's awful. Okay. But it takes a special kind of evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only word I can think of. It takes a special kind of evil to be able to mutilate and murder an innocent, like a 6-year-old is innocent. They haven't, what have they done to you? Asked for too much juice? Like how anyone could inflict that kind of violence on a child will never cease to amaze me.
It's horrible. And, he was at home with his mom and his uncle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to, because everything I read, it was very much hyper-focused on David because, of course, he's a baby. And
yeah.
But we can't forget Leslie. Leslie wasn't just simply the second victim. He was Eleanor's brother. He was David's uncle. His life ended alongside his young nephew in a crime that I'm sure in that moment was just so surreal that this could possibly be happening. He's trying to protect this young boy. He's trying to protect his sister. Okay, so as investigators continue piecing together the evidence, the attention obviously is focused completely on Catherine and Lafrance because obviously. Within a short time, both were charged with 2 counts of non-capital murder.
Okay.
I can't imagine in the 70s that happening. Like in this tiny community, everyone knows them. These people aren't strangers. And they're like, holy fuck, I went to school with her. I just saw her the other day. What do you mean?
They probably went to church with these people. Like,
absolutely. You work with the person. Growing up there, I think reality really sets in because I envision the streets. I envision, all the places. If you grew up in a small town, I believe you would understand what happened next because rumors are spreading.
Oh my God, the rumors.
And part of, right? And so there is a massive divide and half the people believe Catherine had been completely manipulated by her older boyfriend. And other people were like, no, she was a fucking equal participant from the very beginning. And these opinions became so deeply rooted that decades later, people are literally still fighting about this. Oh, it was 55 years ago. People are holding their truth. They're like, nope.
That also doesn't surprise me at all.
Right?
I've been at family dinners where we're arguing about something that happened in 1985.
Right? But we're not here to talk about rumors. We're going to talk about what evidence we have, and we're going to follow that evidence. The evidence that I follow in this case is Eleanor, because she lived. She was there. So everyone can have their opinions. This happened to her.
Yeah.
By that fall, an investigation had really laid out the foundation for a trial. They were ready. Okay. Everyone goes to court. For people of Pembroke, this isn't just a trial. It's their case. Everyone is involved. Yeah. This is not just like, oh, I'm going to watch the trial. No. This is our case. We are going to find out.
I was going to say, I want people to understand, the first day of trial, there would have been ladies in churches making sandwiches for this.
The courtroom was so full. People were standing. And finally, they were like, no more people can come in here.
Yeah, no kidding.
When this sweet woman had to take the stand and talk about what she experienced for 2 weeks, witnessed the murder and mutilation of her child and brother, the whole room went still. Because she is sitting here giving evidence. And remember, she is speaking against her child.
Her own daughter. I can't imagine this.
And she is, I won't say defending her daughter, But the way she's kind of explaining this is she was pushing a lot of the blame on this man, this 23-year-old piece of shit that came into their lives. She believed that her daughter's behavior was changing. She was doing things she hadn't done before. And as much as I can relate to that, because as a mother, you want to protect your child, I have a problem with it.
It's such a strange conversation because here's the thing. I mean, I have a daughter who is about to be 15. If she was dating a man, okay, who is like in his 20s, the reason that is very taboo in our culture is for this exact reason. When a child who is most likely sexually active with an adult man, they're able to manipulate them to do things where an undeveloped teenage girl brain is going to think, well, this is love. I have to do what he says because that's love. So this is why it's not okay for a 17-year-old to date a 23-year-old.
This is it.
Because of this reason exactly. So I get it. Like, I get that she would be like, she's innocent. She was manipulated.
Let's kind of backpedal on this a little bit. So mom is there. Like, she's really pushing the blame on
yes.
Lorne. And I understand that. However, Catherine came and went while her mother was being tortured for the 2 weeks.
Ooh, okay.
Catherine was aware of what was going on. Catherine was there when her brother and uncle were horrifically murdered and mutilated. And the evidence to me shows that she was a fucking participant in this. And I'm sorry that's going to piss people off, but
no. Here's the thing. If she had been also kept at the house, where she wasn't necessarily in any kind of bondage, but he was like, no, you're going to stay here, then that's one thing. If you're leaving the house and you have access to go get help and you don't, she's just as responsible. I don't care.
100%. And a lot of people are like, well, people who are being manipulated, and I could not, because we're in Canada, I couldn't access all of the court records of exactly what had been said. And a lot of the people that were in the courtroom at that time are no longer with us.
Yeah.
Poor, beautiful Eleanor is pleading the case, basically saying he did this to us. He was, the one, and my daughter was there. And yes, she participated in the torture and all of the things. She wasn't fucking just a standby. She partook.
Yes, no. Do you know what this reminds me of so much? Is Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka.
It's right.
Yeah, it's the same.
So in front of a jury, everyone gave their testimonies, the prosecution, the defense, everyone laid out the information as best they could. And of course, fucking Lorne pleads not guilty because it's fucking ridiculous. He says no.
It always amazes me when there's like a live victim.
Right.
Like, what? Lorne,
the jig is up. You're caught.
Jig is up.
Eleanor who survived your torture and watched her child and brother be massacred. She's up here saying,
you out.
Yeah, not guilty.
Not guilty. Get out of here.
Like, come on. The jury, obviously, they only deliberated for 30 minutes. Like,
that's very Valley too. They would have sat down and been like, all right, guys, I want to be home for lunch. Coffee is coming.
What are you thinking? So, of course, they found him guilty on 2 counts of non-capital murder. He received a life sentence. Now, it was one of the most severe penalties available under Canadian law at the time. And a lot of people were like, okay, he's caught. He's going to prison. case closed. Justice has been served. But Catherine had also been charged during this investigation.
Okay.
But yet, as we follow the legal proceedings, her case is going down a different path. Delarge admits murder bid. I'm reading a fucking newspaper article.
Okay.
Lafrance gets life for murdered. So the wording tells us something very important here because it indicates that Catherine admitted involvement in an attempt to kill her mother, Eleanor.
Okay.
But it does not on its own establish that she was convicted of murdering David or Leslie. So she admitted to trying to murder her mother. Admitted it. Yep, I did that. But unfortunately, the surviving public records available today do not fully explain the legal resolution of Catherine's case. And that is important. So a lot of people are like...
This is the most Valley shit ever.
It's so fucking ridiculous. Now, I do have some information on that I will let you know.
Okay.
But everyone was like, Catherine got away with murder. And everyone was like, she did this. How did she walk away? No one knew what happened to her.
What?
All I can say is she was charged.
Okay.
And she was part of the legal proceedings, but nothing on record indicates that she was punished. There was nothing. It's
so
like
she
it
just
all
went
just
home?
So she did admit involvement in the attack, but the whole story just kind of blurs. Now, yes. Isn't that the craziest shit?
Why am I not like, I'm surprised, but not even.
So if you look up this case, you're not going to see or know what happened to Catherine. Now, lucky for you.
Ash is a Valley gal.
I'm a Valley
gal. I know
gal.
shit.
I know some things. What I do know is that Catherine went on to be a mother. I worked for her daughter. That is fact. So Catherine did not rot in a prison cell because I've ate lunch with her
she was
child.
out there having babies. Yeah.
I know that her daughter believes her mother was innocent. I struggle with that.
If you're not watching the video, you got to understand like the looks.
I'm about to get my fucking ass rocked here.
Oh, for those of you who are not from the Valley, like get ready because Ash is we're about to get some hate online. We thought people were being critical of us before. Now it's going to come out.
It's going to be bad, guys. Please have my back.
Please send hearts.
So the trial ends. The newspaper articles disappear.
Wow.
Other cases come up. And this thing just fucking disappears, except for the whispers. So the story literally becomes like folklore because how did this happen? Yeah. It wasn't on television. It's not, no one's talking about it. But so I know where Catherine ended up working.
Okay. We're not gonna throw that out there.
Yes, we are, because it's a part of the history of Pembroke. So, Valley people, let's all say it together.
Around the table.
What is the restaurant in Pembroke that is timeless, wonderful, Valley? Everyone goes there after church.
There's so many.
You sat down. No. There is one. OG restaurant. No. Downtown. The Bonanza.
Oh, the Bonanza. Yeah.
The Bonanza is part of the Valley's history.
Yeah.
You're not getting breakfast like the Bonanza. You're not getting old, Valley poutine like the Bonanza.
You're right.
To this day, you go into the Bonanza. Now, I wonder if it's still open. I know it was. I'd be curious to know. I think it's for sale. But this place, you walk in, the stools are the same from the 70s.
Yeah. It's like going back in time.
Takes you back. And what I do know is that Catherine worked at the Bonanza. And I might get a lot of hate for this, but I've been served by Catherine. I remember having breakfast after church, and my grandmother being like, you know who that is? That's the woman that killed her brother and uncle and tried to kill her mother. And the whispers.
I'm not even a little bit shocked. I'm not even surprised. This is just how this goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to spew out the rumors. I'm going to correct them. Okay. People weren't remembering the case itself, but for all you Valley people, what people mostly remember is there was a daughter, a boyfriend, a brother. I remember people saying the mother had been killed. That was a part of the story, but she was not killed. A lot of people said there were 2 young brothers. There were not. So that is folklore. I'm not saying this to prove anyone right, to prove anyone wrong. Maybe people know things I don't. But honestly, at the end of the day, that is what fascinates me about this case, is because one person never left the public record. Catherine disappeared. Eleanor's story disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, everyone is pointing a finger at Lorne Edward Lafrance. Catherine reintegrated into the community. Like,
start flipping your eggs.
She just came back out and was like, psych, I'm back. And no one fucking talked about it.
No, and this is what I was saying at the beginning of the episode. Nobody would. Like, I'm telling you, like, even just like your grandma, when you guys sat down and she served you, that was
Whispers were there, but no one was saying anything out loud.
No one's going to be like, hey, Kat, did you do it?
Yeah.
You know, like, no one would ever. She probably lived the rest of her life without anybody questioning her.
Right. And then, of course, the years become decades, governments change. She has grandchildren alive today. She has a child alive today.
Yeah.
You know, and then this piece of shit, Lorne, who deserved everything he got, served a prison sentence. But how did she get off? It doesn't make sense to me. You know, it just evaporated. It literally evaporated. Everyone had a different version.
I guess the way it would have gone is if Lorne had said she wasn't involved, they probably took his word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If Lorne was like, no, it was me, I acted alone.
It's crazy. To me, this is such a horrific murder case.
Yeah.
And yet, you are not finding pictures online of these people?
No.
Believe me.
Well, because Catherine would be protected.
Yeah.
To a degree. Mm-hmm.
There's not a picture of David. There is nothing for public record that you're going to find. It's like this whole thing never existed.
That's very Valley.
Right?
Let's just not talk about it.
So, before we wrap up, the most important person in this story is Eleanor. She survived something almost impossible to imagine. Mm-hmm. She lost her son. She lost her brother.
Her brother.
She endured prolonged abuse. She stood in court and testified. And to me, what this proves is a mother's love is stronger than anything, because she could have put her daughter away and she didn't.
Yeah, and she didn't. She chose not to. Oof.
You know, Jesus. Public record disappears. There's no lengthy interview. There are no memoirs. There's nothing.
We're never talking about this. Nope.
Disappeared. It's such a Valley thing. And, you know, sometimes that's the way history works. But I wanted to change that in a way, because
I was like, we are going to be in so much trouble.
We can never go home. Everyone's going to hate us.
Going home this weekend, like, great.
Oh boy. There's going to be a lynch mob as she enters the Valley.
Honestly, my mom's going to be like, what did you do now?
So, before we wrap up, I want to say their names, because there are no records, and that breaks me, because David Witt existed. He was 6 years old, who should have been able to grow up and have an entire life ahead of him.
Yeah.
Leslie Molson was a brother and uncle. He was a son. He deserved better than that. He should have been able to watch the people he loved grow up. And I can only imagine those moments where David and Leslie are being faced with their own family member, being tortured by their own family member, a family member who got to go and grow up, a family member who got to discover what it's like to be a mother, who got to have joy, who got to fucking experience all types of life lessons and life experiences without being held responsible, and it all just disappeared. Eleanor Witt, she is a badass.
Honestly.
You know, if it wasn't for her, no one would have ever found out what happened inside that farmhouse. And these are the people that should be remembered when this episode ends. They are the victims. They are the ones that matter. You know, when I first sat down to investigate that, guys, I had fragments. I literally had whispers. I struggled to find this case. It's almost like a ghost.
I was going to say, can you imagine if we did like a whole series where we just find the facts of these? Because guys, this isn't the only story from where we grew up. Like there are so many like this.
So many. You know, and I think all communities have their dirty little secrets, and this is ours.
This is one of ours.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you, Ashley. I can't wait to talk to our people about this in our Discord chat. Guys, we have a free Discord chat.
I have been MIA for 4 days. I apologize.
I know, you gotta get back.
I'm coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you again. Thank you to all of you who are listening. We are excited for what's coming up in the fall. I can't wait we have some killer episodes. We've got some exciting things. Ash and I always do something stupid for our anniversary. So stay tuned for that.
We're going to do something so stupid this year.
Yeah, honestly. Okay. Love you all. And we'll see you all on Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.